The best way for the elderly to interact with their children is not through family dinners, but by adhering to the Merabin Principle. As life progresses unknowingly, youth fades away and can never return. After establishing a family and raising children, time seems to speed up. The years slip away silently, like sand flowing through one's fingers. At 30, one should be established, at 40, one should have no doubts, at 50, one should know their destiny. By 61, one reaches the age of maturity, and by 70, it's rare to find someone still in good health. Life is spent in tranquility until one day, we suddenly look back and find that our parents are no longer around, and we have become the elderly. The notion of raising children to support parents has shifted. In the past, people believed that having children would mean a worry-free old age. However, with societal changes and the diversification of family structures, more and more elderly individuals are beginning to feel confused. How to get along with their children has become an important issue that many families need to face. Some liken the responsibility of supporting elderly parents to a proverb: 1 monk fetches water, 2 monks carry it, and 3 monks have no water. Elderly parents often believe that having more children means more blessings. Yet the reality is that having more children can lead to responsibilities being easily shirked, with everyone feeling they are at a disadvantage. As children grow up and establish their own families, the relationship between the elderly and their children is no longer as close as it once was. Instead, it has transformed into interactions among multiple families. How to handle this new family dynamic has become a serious question for every family to consider. The interactions between the elderly and their children should not solely rely on festive gatherings, but rather on adhering to the Merabin Principle. What is the Merabin Principle? In 1971, American psychologist Albert Merabin proposed the famous Merabin Principle, which states that in interpersonal communication, only 7% of information is conveyed through words, 38% depends on tone, and 55% relies on nonverbal communication methods such as body language and expressions. In other words, emotional communication between people relies more on actions and attitudes than on words. Based on this, people have summarized the 7-38-55 rule, which indicates that good relationships require less talk and more demonstration of a good image, along with regularly expressing care through positive actions. When elderly individuals interact with their children, adhering to the Merabin Principle can reduce arguments and nagging, conveying more love and understanding, thus allowing for a more harmonious and happy later life. 1. Speak less and avoid idle talk. Silence is golden. A young person online once shared why young people are often annoyed by the nagging of the elderly, quickly resonating with many. An anonymous user subsequently vented about their experience. After buying something green, they thought it would look better with a white sweater. The elderly person immediately replied that they had to buy white, as green looked bad. The elderly often believe that wearing white suggests mourning, which is taboo. The young person expressed frustration over an elderly parent's insistence on eating leftover pancakes for breakfast rather than boiling eggs. Indeed, elderly individuals often find it hard to throw away yesterday's food, insisting on continuing to eat it and imposing this habit on their children. The young person concluded with a humorous observation: it felt as if the elderly were dictating everything, even the order of how to walk, leading to annoyance. Philosopher Meng Tian once remarked that silence is more beneficial for socializing than insincere words. Many parents, believing they are acting for their children's good, continuously remind them about what they should or should not do. However, it may be better to remain silent and allow children to make their own decisions. Children are adults now and are no longer those who understand nothing and obey their parents. Constantly pointing out their faults leads to conflict. Dwelling on past mistakes only digs up old grievances, and nagging about grandchildren can frustrate their parents. Being a quiet elder, reflecting on one's shortcomings, and refraining from discussing others' faults makes one more likable. 2. Smile more and initiate goodwill. Apart from what needs to be expressed verbally, there are many auxiliary expressions. For instance, when calling a son to ask when he'll be home, the elderly person might wear an expectant expression. When hearing that the son will be home soon, they might express their happiness with gestures. Similarly, when the elderly see their children traveling on social media, should they react with a like or a sad face? A like indicates acknowledgement, while a sad face can convey complex feelings. For children, a sad face may suggest that they didn't take the elderly along, leading the elderly to feel wronged. The elderly might curse themselves for not living well, wasting money, and lamenting their fate. The same words can have different effects based on expression and tone, leading to varying interpretations. For example, if an elderly person asks their daughter-in-law via video call whether she's coming home for the holiday with a stern face, assuming she won't come, the daughter-in-law might decide against visiting. Why should she endure a frown from her in-laws when she could enjoy a meal at home? Conversely, if an elderly person seriously scolds their grandson for losing his homework, while another smiles and gently points out the mistake, the latter is likely to yield better results. As Luxembourg said, no matter what happens, please be quiet and happy. This is life. We must accept life with courage and smile forever, regardless of what we've experienced. Whether regarding family matters or life itself, maintaining a friendly tone and appropriate speech is vital for expressing love. 3. Often engage in real actions, helping each other. There's a question: why do elderly individuals help take care of children? Many believe they are forced into this role, which is exhausting, seeing it as a sign of filial piety. However, wise elders view caring for grandchildren as a way to assist their children, granting them more freedom to work and earn money. One elderly individual I know said, "In a large family, it's better for the young to work than for the elderly. When the elderly do a little bit of casual work at home, it gives the young people some breathing room. While they may have little savings or retirement funds, they can serve as caregivers, considering their contributions to be a source of happiness. If their health allows, elderly individuals can work as security guards or warehouse managers in their children's factories, or assist in monitoring their shops. It's crucial to understand that children face immense pressure in life. Seeing elderly family members lounging about can be disheartening. A little empathy can help one understand everything. Lin Yutang once said, "Happiness is nothing but four things: sleeping in your own bed, eating food made by your parents, listening to sweet nothings from your partner, and playing games with your children." Actively doing something within the family naturally brings warmth and happiness. Ultimately, it is labor that brings reward, not simply waiting for benefits. 4. If you can't even handle family relationships, how can you talk about happiness in old age? Regardless of age, one should not rely on their seniority. Even if one has a high pension, there's nothing to be proud of. When the income of children surpasses that of their parents, that's the best order of development. Family interactions and relationships should be smoothed out, allowing each generation to fulfill their roles naturally. Filial piety should not be forced through moral obligations, financial incentives, or family gatherings, as these create a strained dynamic. Only by accumulating affection through genuine, kind assistance in daily life can the best relationships form. Remember that while money is limited, human feelings are infinite. The key to happiness lies in managing family relationships effectively. Ultimately, family happiness springs from emotional interactions and understanding among people. In elderly life, if family relationships cannot be harmonized, how can one discuss happiness in their later years? Elderly individuals must follow these 3 principles in their interactions with their children. 1. Treat each other sincerely, be kind and tolerant while avoiding comparison and calculation. Happiness is the most important thing. 2. Maintain appropriate distance, do not overly interfere in children's lives, respect each other and do not disturb one another. 3. Learn empathy, when problems arise, consider the other's perspective. More empathy, support, and comfort are necessary. Only this genuine love can withstand life's storms. In the first half of life, we give our best love to our children. In old age, when children understand to return that love to their parents, it is the most worthwhile happiness in the world. The Merabin Principle reveals the secrets of family happiness. With the development of the times, the relationship between the elderly and their children has become more complex. How to maintain harmonious family relationships in modern society has become a pressing issue for many families, especially in the later years of the elderly, where companionship and care from children are often their most desired emotional needs. However, relying solely on verbal communication often fails to genuinely convey inner emotions. American psychologist Albert Merabin's Merabin Principle points out that in interpersonal interactions, 7% of information is transmitted through words, 38% depends on tone, and 55% relies on body language and nonverbal communication. This means that human relationships and emotions rely not only on verbal expression but also heavily on actions, attitudes, and body language. This is particularly true in family dynamics where elderly individuals depend on traditional verbal communication while neglecting the importance of action and emotional expression. Although children may not neglect their parents materially, emotional neglect can lead to the elderly feeling isolated and unloved. By effectively implementing the Merabin Principle in family interactions, one can bridge the emotional gap, allowing elderly individuals to feel the warmth and love of family life. In life, children may be busy with work, making it difficult for them to communicate with their elderly parents. This leads to misunderstandings and even conflicts. By employing the Merabin Principle, children can better understand their parents' needs through actions and nonverbal communication, thereby nurturing family harmony. In summary, by embracing the Merabin Principle, elderly individuals can foster better interactions with their children, ensuring emotional connection and happiness in their later years.